Opponent fires off the Brave Bird, knocking out the unshielded Swampert. It's now Golbat with no Protect Shields, looking to 1v3 the team. The opponent pivots back out into the Quagman Grant, not messing about, fires off the Shadow Ball, securing the knockout. Opponent waits out their clock before sending out Metachan. Metachan gonna need to reach a Psychic, but they're gonna get outpaced. The opponent settles for the Ice Punch, but Trainer, that just isn't gonna get the job done. This now allows Grant to heavily overfarm before firing off the Shadow Ball. It's gonna be high Metachan, by Metachan. Get that fighter off my screen, back out. Comes Skarmory, but Golbat gonna be able to outpace to the Shadow Ball and 1v3 the team. Welcome back to the channel. As promised in yesterday's video, we're going to be taking a look at Magical Leaf Victreebel in the Open Great League. You've seen everyone else feature it with plenty of basic bitch metamon. However, today it is going to be in a triple shadow team, the way it's supposed to be run. Huge shout out to Grant for submitting today's battles. He's running a team that is a fun variation on the team that gave my longest ever win streak in GBL history, which was 19 games. The team's going to be Swampert, double poison. When I was using this team, I used Swampert, Drapion and Golbat. Drapion today is being replaced with Magical Leaf Victreebel. Of course, that is our buffed Pokemon. If you're a long time subscriber to my channel, you'll know the Pokemon I've always called the GOAT is going to be Shadow Swampert. Everyone's now raving about Wish Daddy Cash, but Swampert has access to Hydro Cannon. You give this Pokemon an inch, it will take a mile. It will always be the GOAT if you can manage your energy well. Rounding the team off is going to be the unsung hero of the Great League. I think Shadow Golbat is such a slept on, underrated pick. I've used it essentially every season whenever I can be bothered to play this RPS nonsense Great League, and it never disappoints. Golbat, unlike a lot of other flyers, has a get out of jail free card with that Shadow Ball. Shadow Golbat is able to two-shot Pokemon such as Galarian Stunfisk and Registeel, something I don't think many other flyers can say. Without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game 1, we pick up this matchup where we see the GOAT into Umbreon. The opponent investing 2 Protect Shields, petrified of the GOAT, but the super spammy Swampert able to get Umbreon incredibly low, and then we see the pivot into Golbat. Lantern, of course, going to be a very good anti-flyer. However, Golbat can add Lantern onto that list of things we can two-shot with the Shadow Ball. Just look at that damage output. Grant, very happy of Golbat's contribution. Just going to elect to let it go down and save his final Protect Shield for Shadow Vic. Vic in the Great League certainly needs shields to operate, as it is insanely glassy. The opponent reaches a Departing Surf, which of course is resisted, but ouch, that hurts. Shadow Vic now down below half health. The opponent sends back at Umbreon, looking to force our final Protect Shield. Grant going to oblige, putting up that Protect Shield. The opponent then pivots out into Dugong. Dugong, one of the thickest mon in the format, but Leaf Blade nearly one-shots Grant, able to outpace to the second Leaf Blade. Dugong going to be straight in and straight out. Victreebel going to be able to Magical Leaf farm down Umbreon, and we're going to take that game. GG's, and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we see the Swampert mirror. I thought Swampert was essentially extinct, but this trainer also knows that Swampert is never going to be extinct. It's always going to be a top tier threat. Grant fires off the Hydro Cannon, landing for huge damage. Grant then pivots out and makes a very nice catch, catching what should be a Hydro Cannon onto Victreebel. The issue here is Victreebel isn't the best safe switch, although the opponent clearly doesn't have a great response as they send out Wall Rain. Grant happy to invest the Protect Shield, knowing he's going to get a shield back. It's very nice to bait out Wall Rain as well, as of course Golbat doesn't fancy seeing it. Just the Magical Leaf damage has put this Wall Rain below half health. Unfortunately, they aren't quite in Hydro Cannon range yet. However, Hydro Cannon will leave them deep into the red. Swampert goes straight for the Hydro Cannon. Wall Rain withstands the damage. Likewise, Swampert also going to be able to tank the Icicle Sphere, although we're going to be left incredibly low. Grant looks for the Mud Shot farm down, and we get it. Grant looks to make the catch onto Golbat, saving Swampert. Unfortunately, the game says no because it is laggy as shit. Niantic, fix your game. We save Swampert, bank the Hydro Cannon snipe with Golbat drawing out Frost/double ice. Grant full sends the Shadow Ball, does the opponent respect the damage? They look to call the bait. Hashtag no baits on this channel. The opponent gets wrecked and we take that game. Grant is double weak to ice in the back. The opponent had double ice, but regardless, Grant overcomes that and picks up the dub. In the next battle, we see the GOAT Swampert into another Umbreon. This really is bulk versus charge move pressure. You can see Swampert doesn't quite two-shot Umbreon with Hydro Cannons, although they do add up, especially because this thing has insane bulk. The opponent's on Dark Pulse, which is good information to know, meaning they're going to be straight forwards to charge moves rather than 4-3. Grant invests the Protect Shield, is then going to return fire with the Hydro Cannon. The opponent doesn't need to shield this, but if they don't, they're going to be left insanely low. Grant then throws one Mud Shot and the next Hydro Cannon, looking to throw out good timing, getting Umbreon insanely low. We then pivot out into Golbat, saving Swampert and looking to draw out a potential Ice type. The opponent fires off the Dark Pulse, which does a solid amount of chip damage. The opponent then sends out Charger Bug. Grant fires off the Poison Fang. Poison Fang goes unshielded. If the opponent looks for the full Volt Switch farm down, Golbat able to reach the next Poison Fang. With a lowered defense, this will be lethal, so the opponent chooses to invest their final Protect Shield. Grant finds himself in somewhat of a tricky spot, as we are not going to appreciate these neutral X's, as X's are hits for neutral due to grass taking super effective and poison resisting. We shield up the first. Victreebel's Bolt going to be put to the test. X's are not the hardest hitting move, but does like 75%. Grant commits to the very aggressive Magical Leaf farm down. We're so low. Please show me a water type. The opponent sends back at Umbreon. Umbreon gets farmed down. The opponent's final Pokemon is indeed a water type. It only takes neutral from grass, but nothing that takes neutral Leaf Blades in this meta is going to survive 2 from Vic. And Vic, despite being low on HP, going to be able to sweep the backline. GG's and thanks for playing. Before anyone says I'm spreading misinformation, Mantine would actually be something that would be able to survive 2 Leaf Blades, as Leaf Blade does like 45%. However, it would only take 2 further Magical Leafs to knock them out from full health. In the next battle, we see 2 Pokemon who usually work as teammates, Swampert and Skarmory, usually go hand in hand. However, this time they're faced off against one another. Shadow Swampert wins this in all even shielding scenarios, except the 0 shield, because let me fucking tell you, we do not tank a Brave Bird. Grant looks to play the 1 shield out. The opponent ends up playing to the CMP side. They do not win. Invest in their final Protect Shield. Grant can happily shield this up in return. Let's see how good Grant's counting is. Grant can now heavily overfarm, fire off the Hydro Cannon on the CMP side. Grant has been to school and does not disappoint. Maximises energy before throwing the Hydro Cannon, which secures the knockout. Swampert might be low, but as we overfarm, we're able to reach a departing Hydro Cannon, which is going to land for big damage on Annihilate. Annihilate already down. So around a third health, we can now send out Golbat. It looks like the opponent's running Ice Punch. Ice Punch does land for some decent damage. The opponent then pivots out into the silly electric fish Lantern. I really like this play from Grant. He's going to fire off the Poison Fang, which of course is going to debuff Lantern's defense. We can then send out Vic. Vic going to be able to Magical Leaf farm all the way down. And we're going to leave with a charge move to throw at Annihilate. Are we going to BM Sludge Bomb? Yes, we are. But the opponent, not wanting some bad manners, is going to concede the match. Very well played, Grant. Moving on to the next one. We see the battle of ground types. The opponent counts to 5, attempt to catch a Hydro Cannon onto Mandibuzz. Often if you lose lead, players will look to catch a charge move on something that does resist the move that we're likely going to throw. Grant showed great composure, holding his energy. The opponent sends out Mandibuzz. We get a huge amount of lag. I'm unsure how much energy the opponent got for free. Hopefully just 1 free Snarl. We see Grant, despite getting a huge amount of lag, able to make the catch onto Golbat. We get yet more weak connection. Holy cow. The opponent fires off the second Dark Pulse, but Mandibuzz hits like a wet noodle, so Golbat able to withstand both and reach the Poison Fang. Poison Fang forced to Protect Shield. The opponent desperately wanting to realign. Grant happy to take shield advantage. This Mandibuzz is in quite an awkward health range where neither of our Pokemon are going to have a particularly fun time of looking to farm it down. However, with a lowered defense, Grant says, "This is Shadow Vic, who's worried?" We shield once, get the resisted Magical Leaf farm down. Back out comes Quagsire. Quagsire takes neutral from grass, but it is not going to appreciate Shadow Vic's attack stat. We land the Leaf Blade, we then pivot into Swampert. Have we caught the Stone Edge? Oof, no we haven't. The opponent full sends an Earthquake. It's now all down to Vic to clean up. Vic gonna shield up whatever the opponent throws. This time it is the Stone Edge. The opponent continued to stay in. Grant looks for the Magical Leaf farm down, and we get it. The opponent's final Pokemon is Shadow for Alligator, and you know the drill. The first Leaf Blade will be forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield. Well, it would have done if they didn't top left, but regardless, Vic had this game in the bag. GG's, and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle. We see another Swampert mirror. It's mad. When we're running Swampert, we're seeing a lot of other Swamperts. The opponent say switches into Cresselia. Grant looks for the Chip and Dip. I imagine we're going to attempt to catch a Grass Knot on one of our back 2 Pokemon. At this stage, it looks like Grant's happy to stay in. Of course, we're going to have to respect the Grass Knot, despite Cresselia, of course, being a mono psychic type, not getting same type attack bonus. And they're really defense weighted. Add these two factors together, it's a very sad scenario where Swampert gets one shot. Grant, shield, both grass knots, and this is where you can make a catch, as of course the opponent is going to spam the charge move as soon as they get it. Grant fires off the Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon forces the protect shield, but unfortunately we play to CMP. Swampert does get one shot. It's now all shields down. We send out Golbat. Grant, not looking to risk the opponent potentially having future sight, fires off the Poison Fang. Poison Fang does secure the knockout. Golbat still out of Hydro Cannon range. The opponent opts to send out their third, which is Umbreon. Who the heck made the Umbreon video? I was not expecting to see this many. Of course, Grant is going to be forced to go for Poison Fangs in this matchup, as Dark does resist Ghost. Hopefully the opponent isn't on Psychic. They go straight for a foul play, which we tank. We then see the pivot into Vic. Vic now smelling blood, looking to sweep. The opponent has enough for a Psychic. Please don't be Legacy. The opponent throws the foul play. Grant then throws one Magical Leaf. Throws the Leaf Blade on the CMP side. Get that Umbreon out of here. Back out comes Swampert. Our Swampert got one shot. And the opponent is also going to meet the same fate. GG's and thanks for playing. I've been really impressed with Grant's counting throughout this video. If you're going to run triple shadows, especially 3 glass cannons, it's paramount that you maximise energy, and Grant has done that to this point in the video. In the next battle, we see the Goat Shadow Swampert into Sonic the Hedgehog. The opponent makes a nice catch the Hydro Cannon onto Vigoroth. Well, that chip damage is going to allow Golbat to come in. Show no respect for the non-stab Rock Slide and wing attack farm all the way down. You can see Rock Slide gets us slow, but if I'm honest, that's even better as it allows minimal farm for the return in Sonic. We've already seen that these non-stab Shadow Balls need to be respected. If the opponent doesn't respect this damage, they're going to be left deep in the red. We fire off the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball forces the Protect Shield. Grant recognises that next Shadow Claw will knock us out, settles for the Poison Fang. The opponent also displays very nice counting, recognising we're one short of the Shadow Ball, no shielding. Grant sends out Swampert. Swampert going to respect the incoming drill run and fire off the Hydro Cannon immediately, looking to get Sonic out of here. Hydro Cannon forces the final Protect Shield. Grant, recognising the opponent must be insanely weak to Swampert at the back, pivots out into Victreebel, absorbs the drill run. Drill run does massive damage. The opponent then pivots out into Quagsire. That is such a good play from Grant. The opponent probably thinks they're in a great spot. However, Hydro Cannon from a Shadow Swampert to a regular Quagsire does not one-shot. However, that Magical Leaf damage puts him into Hydro Cannon range. Get that Quagsire out of here. And the Goat is going to do Goat things, sweeping the back line. Grant, what a win, buddy. GG's and thanks for playing. Moving on to the next battle. We lead the Goat Shadow Swampert into Quagman. Unpopular opinion, I actually commented on Yasser's video earlier. I think Quag is now the top mud boy. Everyone's raving about Wish Daddy Cash. However, I'll tell you why it's not the best mud boy. I see numerous other content creators going, oh, I was so unlucky I went 0-3 from Scald debuffs. If you're relying upon nonsense RNG to win matches, then it isn't as good as you like to think. The Quagman, unlike Wish Daddy Cash, does not rely upon any luck from the RNG gods. What it relies upon is perfect energy management. Take that as you will. Although we got distracted, so returning to the commentary. We caught an Aquatail onto our Vic. The opponent then fired off a Stone Edge, forcing our protection, and then hard punished us by Skarmory, and things aren't looking all that fantastic. Although we're not going to write Grant off yet, as Grant has pulled off some insane wins so far. Grant sends back out Swampert, goes straight for the Hydro Cannon, looking to secure the knockout. The opponent investor, final Protect Shield. Grant going to shield in return, although this Skarmory has so much energy. The opponent full send a Brave Bird. The opponent able to outpace the Brave Bird number 2, which is going to secure the knockout. It's now all down to Golbat to 1v3 the team. In comes Golbat. The opponent pivots back out into the Quagman. Grant not messing about, going straight for the Shadow Ball, looking to keep some health on Golbat. Shadow Ball, of course, secures the knockout. What is that third? The opponent sends out Metachan. I haven't seen one of these in forever. The opponent is going to need to throw a Psychic to secure the knockout. The opponent recognising they're going to get outpaced, fire off the Ice Punch, but Ice Punch just doesn't get the job done. Grant now heavily over farms, fires off the Shadow Ball. Get that Metachan back to Season 12. Metachan gets one shot by the Shadow Ball. Grant energy management absolutely on point. Outpaced to the Shadow Ball. And Golbat sweeps the entire team. GG's and thanks for playing. I actually read a comment the other day which made me laugh. Someone was like, if you want to actually get good at the game, don't watch my channel. Watch someone like Inadequance or Yasser. Am I saying I'm the best battler in the world? Definitely not. However, when it comes to Shadow Pokemon, I think I'm far more knowledgeable than probably 99.9% of the community. I ran Shadow Pokemon exclusively from Season 7 all the way to Season 14, hitting Legend 6 times in a row. No one else can say that, and I was the first trainer in the world to achieve that. So when it comes to Shadow Pokemon, I think I've got a fair clue on what I'm on about. It looks like I'm doing my best Pokey AK impersonation right now, just going off on a mad tangent, but Grant manages to force both Protect Shields, full sending Shadow Ball after Shadow Ball onto this Jellicent. Grant gonna take his shield advantage, send out Victreebel. We respect the Shadow Ball, the opponent full sends Vic, gets a very nice Magical Leaf farm down and leaves with residual energy, good to go. Of course, the Alolan Ninetales the opponent led with isn't going to be returning into a loaded Vic, so they opt to send out Clod. Victreebel now very spammy, pacing at the same speed as something like a Kanto Ninetales using Weather Ball. Grant puts this thing into Hydro Cannon range, then goes like wham, bam, combo play, snipes Quagsire with Swampert, just Ninetales remains and Swampert still not done, reaches the Hydro Cannon, Shadow and Shadow Crime, in nearly one shot, Swampert Mudshot farms down, and we take that game. Heading into the next battle, let's see if I can go a full battle without getting distracted by my random thoughts today. We see the battle of water types are very much in the opponent's favour. Grant stays in, banks a Hydro Cannon, then pivots into Golbat. Golbat instantly greeted with the Icy Wind. Despite this being Shadow and Shadow Crime, we're easily able to withstand the damage. The opponent then sends out Quagsire. Quagsire can have a very difficult time. A Poison Sting farming us down. We fire off the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball lands for respectable damage, and the opponent is going to be forced to dump energy. Golbat has done its job, so Grant happy to let it go down. We can then send back in Swampert, heavily over farm before firing off the Hydro Cannon. Grant waits out his clock, sends out Swampert. Swampert does over farm and fire off the Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon will be lethal from this range and does secure the knockout. Again, Grant banks the Hydro Cannon, pivots into Vic. The opponent continue to stay in and clearly have no response as they just concede the match. I'm guessing ABA Water. In the next battle, there is no shot. We see our third Swampert mirror. Both trainers go for the Hydro Cannon immediately. Grant loses CMP, which is good information to have. So Grant can do one or two things here. He can either bank the Hydro Cannon, look to catch on Vic or Golbat, or take the extra. Grant looks to take the extra. Hydro Cannon wouldn't be lethal here, so if he continues to stay in, I'd YOLO the Earthquake. Actually, Grant banks the energy, pivots into Victreebel, drawing out Talonflame. Vic able to reach the Sludge Bomb. Vic has a dreadful matchup here, but you can see that Sludge Bomb coverage does so much damage. Holy. Swampert has a move bank, but in the Great League, it's IV dependent. If Swampert or Talonflame wins CMP, we send out Swampert. I was almost certain we'd lose CMP, as the opposing Swampert had a higher attack than us. But we actually win CMP, and this puts us in a good spot. The opponent choose to invest their final Protect Shield, throw the Flame Charge, vamping up their attack, but this is just free farm for Golbat. Golbat comes in, gets the Wing Attack farm down, and has one Protect Shield, 2 hide behind. The opponent's running a super unbalanced team. ABA Mudboy. What the heck do they do against a Grass-type league? I have no idea. Grant with one Protect Shield. Looks to call the bait. Trainer. Why would you bait there? That is so greedy. Grant showing huge cojones, pulling wing cons out of his absolute backside. Back out comes Swampert. Of course we're going to shield this up. We've already CMP tied off the Poison Fang. Of course, ground does resist poison, but they're so low. Grant manages to pull off a big fat dub. GG's and thanks for playing. And that is going to draw to a close today's showcase. Huge shout out to Grant for the battle submission. I was really impressed throughout the video with his very good energy management, fast move timing. These are all things that you need to do if you want to run a team like this and have some success. So if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button. If you're new, consider subscribing if you'd like your battles featured on my channel. A link to my battle submission form is down below. And as always, a huge thank you to everyone for watching. And I'll see you all in the next one.